Netpoi and Tam went hard. I am Chris with the Joshi Wrestling Recap for Stardom April 23rd, 2022, available on Stardom World. Stardom put on a good show with a great main event title match for the Artist of Stardom Trios Championship. God's Eye are slowly finding its groove, while someone surprising was pinned in another match. This was a multi-camera show with no commentary. We started with a fun throwaway match between newer members of Stardom roster, Lady C versus Waka Tsukiyama versus Miyu Amasaki. Miyu Amasaki looks nervous when she walks to the ring by herself, but that is something that will change with time. Meanwhile, Waka Tsukiyama has been looking more confident recently. As for the match itself, it was pretty much Lady C versus Waka and Miyu. Not to start though, the Queen's Quest members Miyu Amasaki and Lady C ganged up on Waka Tsukiyama, but that was a short-lived alliance. Lady C was pretty good in this match. She's showing more character and is getting smoother in the ring. Her giant swing still needs work though. Speaking of giant swings, Lady C first swung Miyu Amasaki and hit Waka down with the swinging Miyu. Then Lady C picked up Waka Tsukiyama and giant swung her before getting dizzy and falling down. The ending of the match was a bit sudden. Lady C got Miyu Amasaki out of the ring, then hit a big boot on Waka Tsukiyama and followed that with the Ora Gatame, which is kind of like a fisherman suplex with one arm slam in one, and got the pinfall win over Waka Tsukiyama for the victory. The second match on the card was a quick but fun singles match between Utami, Hayashishita, and Ruaka. Utami's superpower is making you invested in a match even if you know what the outcome will be. I didn't think Ruaka was going to win the match at any point, but I was still engrossed in the match. Ruaka went into her bag of tricks pretty early in the match with an eye gouge on Utami Hayashishita, followed that with many closed fist punches to the gut. It took a bit of time after that before Utami got any offense in, but the longer the match went, she chipped away at the early Ruaka advantage. The match pivoted when Ruaka's pride in her strength was leveraged by Utami Hayashishita. Ruaka never backs down from proving she is stronger than her opponent, even if she isn't. Utami wore Ruaka down with an extended shoulder tackle battle, followed by a lariat battle, which Utami won. After that, Utami Hayashishita went on the attack and won a bit later with a lariat, followed by a German suplex with the bridge for the pinfall victory. The next match on the card was a tag match. From Queen's Quest we had Azumi and Saya Kamatani versus from Stars, Kaguma and Momo Kogo. This match was pretty much an extended beatdown of Momo Kogo, but did have fun spots. The match started with a pretty fun section. Kaguma and Saya Kamatani started in the ring, and Kaguma tried to get Saya to do the Kuma pose. Saya Kamatani rejected the song of the Kuma and dropkicked Kaguma and put the boots to her. Kaguma got off the mat, and Saya Kamatani and her had a mini high-speed section of fast reversals and dodges before Saya got up after a reversal in Kuma pose. Point for Kaguma. Kaguma tagged out after dropkicking Saya, and Momo Kogo came into the match. For the majority of the rest of the match, either Azumi or Saya Kamatani dominated Momo Kogo. Kaguma would make appearances to try to help Momo, but any advantage was short-lived. There was a cool stereo dropkick spot from the top rope by Saya Kamatani and Azumi near the end of the match, which dealt with Kaguma. Azumi focused on putting the match away after that, and got the pinfall victory with a cross-arm suplex with the bridge over Momo Kogo. The fourth match on the card was a Donald Del Mondo vs. Ototai Trios match. For Donald Del Mondo we had Julia, Mei Sakurai, and Tekla versus Ototai Saki Kashima, Momo Watanabe, and Starlight Kid. This was a good and chaotic match as would be expected when these two factions meet. The match started with chaos as Ototai jumped Donald Del Mondo before the bell, but it was Ototai who ends up getting dealt with and dumped outside the ring. Almost immediately, Julia and Tekla get dragged out of the ring and there was some brawling on the outside. Throughout the match, neither team could really go on a run, because the other team would interfere for the multi-woman advantage, and although no weapons were used in the match, you could still feel these teams don't like each other, and not for any specific reasons. They just don't get along, or maybe it's their pride that gets in the way. Tekla and Starlight Kid were having a good exchange, which it looked like Tekla was getting the advantage of, but Saki Kashima got the blind tag without Tekla realizing it when Tekla went to pin Starlight Kid. Saki Kashima dodged a kick by Tekla and flash pinned her with the Kishikaise for the pinfall victory. Tekla and Saki Kashima have been having a bit of a shadow feud this year. Tekla has beaten Saki Kashima in singles competition twice this year already, but in multi-women matches she has lost to her 2 times. This may lead to a rematch for the SWA title between current holders Tekla and Saki Kashima in the future. But will the outcome be the same as their previous battles? The fifth match on the card was another trios match. For God's Eye we had Shuri, Mirai, and Amisore versus the Stars team of Mei Iwatani, Hazuki, and Saya Ida. There is no history or animosity between these two factions. but they still put on an enjoyable match. Saida and Mirai started for their teams and had a test of strength. They went back and forth, but it looks like Saida is the stronger of the two. Saida was in the match for the majority for her team, and it looks like she has shaken off most of the rust from her time off from injury. And while she was not in the match for long, I do see why Shuri scouted Ami Sorai. Ami's arsenal of moves is limited, but the moves she hits look heavy and have good impact. The Death Valley driver that Ami Sorai hit on Miyu Iwatani looked especially good. After Stars triple teamed Shuri, Saida had the advantage and tried to get the win with her version of the Kuma roll, but it didn't work. Shuri knocked Saida down with a well-paced kick to the head, and followed that with a painful-looking submission Shuri calls the Suzuku to get submission victory. That leads us to the main event, a great Artist of Stardom Trios title match between current champs from Donald Mondo, Natsupoi, Himeka, and Maika versus the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Unagi Sayaka, and Mina Shirakawa. This was an important matchup for two reasons. The first is the Cosmic Angels team of Tam, Unagi, and Mina currently hold the record for the most Artist of Stardom Trios title defenses, and if Mai Himapoi wins, they would tie the record. And the second is also the fact that Mai Himapoi are the ones who beat Cosmic Angels' team and ended their reign, so it was a bit of a grudge match. Both teams did their dances on their way to the ring. This match was hard-hitting and full of drama. Tam Nakano and Natsupoi are great at telling a story with their facial expressions and body language, and when they fight each other it goes up a level. Surprisingly, they have only had one singles match against each other. That's not to say only Tam and Natsupoi were good in this match. Everyone did their part. Unagi Sayaka and Mina Shirakawa showed great fire against the larger Himeka and Maika, and were not intimidated, while the aforementioned Himeka and Maika showcased their powers. As time was counting down, Tam Nakano and Natsupoi were trying desperately to keep the other down to get the pin. Tam Nakano was throwing slaps and kicks to Natsupoi's head, while Natsupoi threw Tam to the mat multiple times with release suplexes, but neither stayed down and time expired. Time limit draw. Mai Himapoi retain, but are unsatisfied. After the match, Natsupoi and Tam Nakano traded some words to let the other know this isn't the end, so expect to see a rematch in the future if Mai Himapoi remain champions. The next challenge for the Artist of Stardom Trios belt came out next. It was Ototai team of Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, and Saki Kashima. Natsupoi was annoyed that Starlight Kid wanted another shot at the Trios belts, since Mai Himapoi beat her already when she teamed with Rina and Uraka 2 months ago, but Starlight Kid didn't think that was an issue, and Ototai left and Donald Mondo closed the show. Overall, this was a pretty top-heavy show. The main event was great, so watch that match. And I also liked the fourth match on the card, the Trios match between Ototai and Donald Mondo. The next Stardom show is on the 24th and is taking place at one of the coolest venues, the KBS Hall with its stained glass wall, and mostly will be faction versus faction multi-women matches. This has been the Joshi Wrestling Recap for April 23rd, 2022. Thanks for listening.